Hello everyone, and welcome to our very first video on our YouTube channel. My name is Johnny, and I am a member of the Shamu crew of Orlando, and I happen to also be the operator and founder of our YouTube channel, well, for now at least. To start things off, I thought I'd make a little introduction video about who we are and how each of us as individuals are, and hopefully you can get to know us a little better, and we can give you a little detail of what to expect on this particular YouTube channel. So what this is that the Shamu crew of SeaWorld Orlando is a group of SeaWorld enthusiasts, people who love SeaWorld, like myself, and we tend to go to SeaWorld every weekend or every couple weekends or whatever days we have off and just enjoy the parks, especially the killer whale shows. As you can see from my attire, I am a very big fan of the killer whales over at SeaWorld. And if I haven't told you guys already, my name is Johnny, and I am a member of the crew. I am currently the entitled Rising Star by our admins, who you will be meeting in future videos, of course. Hopefully they'll make their own introductory video entitled Meet the Crew. And in Meet the Crew, this is my video, so you're getting a chance to know me. So for this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, about how I got into SeaWorld, and what my future things are, and so on and so forth, and maybe tell you a little bit about what's to expect. Well, to start things off, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a very big animal enthusiast. I've loved animals ever since I was a little kid. I love dinosaurs, I love big cats, I love elephants, and of course I love killer whales, though that was a little later in development. And for a little bit of background information about me, I was actually born on the autism spectrum, and it kind of turned out to be that way when my mom and dad found out that I had my attention span going almost all over the place, and there was a chance I couldn't even speak, which was kind of concerning for my mom and dad. But I eventually started talking after saying animal names, and according to my mom, she said whenever I started looking around, I was looking at animals, so she got a hand puppet that had little animal heads that got to talk to me, and I interacted with them because, of course, I was a big nut about animals, and I always had a fun time going to the zoo, seeing the animals there, and it was just a wonderful experience every time. Eventually, around the age of 12, miraculously, I was taken off the autism spectrum completely, and yeah, I was living life regularly, even though I had a few struggles, and things got tough from time to time. I went through different schools. I eventually graduated from high school, then college, and now it got me up to here. And I'm not exactly sure what else to say about myself, but you'll probably find that out in later videos. So, you might be wondering, how did I get into SeaWorld? Where did it all start? And I believe that's where a lot of us are going to talk about. So, for me myself, I got started at getting to SeaWorld. Well, I first found out about it by watching one of Jack Hanna's old videos called Animal Babies or Baby Boom. I can't exactly remember what. And one of the segments is when he went to SeaWorld of Orlando when he was observing some of the baby killer whales. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but hopefully some of my club members will know, since a lot of them know about the history of killer whales, of the SeaWorld killer whales. Yeah, sorry about my little stuttering. That's a little bit of an issue you're probably going to see with me around here. Well, anyways, it got me interested, saying, what kind of animal is that? And my mom and dad are like, oh, that's a killer whale. It's called an orca. Well, they didn't really know much about orcas at the time, because this was way back in the 1990s, during one of SeaWorld's glory years, within the late 80s and the early 90s. That's when they stood out, where they were like the big time park. Well, anyways, after that, my mom and dad also got a SeaWorld video called Touching Eternity, which talks about SeaWorld of Texas, of course. And man, oh man, it was that video where I got stuck on SeaWorld. I just loved it so much. I watched it over and over again, many times with my mom and dad. And I always say, Mom, Dad, can we please go to SeaWorld someday? Please, please. And they're always like, but Johnny, that's in Texas. It's very far away. And I was kind of like, I really want to see the killer whales. But then, lo and behold, one day when I was about 6 years old, we went on a trip to Houston, because it turned out that my dad had a little bit of a job thing going on in Houston every once in a while, so he traveled back and forth a little bit, but that was on rare occasions. Well, anyways, we went to Houston, Texas to do a little sightseeing, and then we went into San Antonio, and then before I knew it, turned out that SeaWorld was closed at the time, but my mom and dad surprised us with a behind-the-scenes tour at SeaWorld. I was I was going nuts. I was finally getting my chance to see the killer whales and all the other animals that I grew up watching on that little VHS. Now, granted, this was back in the 2000s, and things have changed ever since the 90s. And since the 90s at SeaWorld, it was still a very big thing. Trainers were still going into the water with the orcas, but they were still doing new shows. It wasn't the same thing as I saw in the movies. It wasn't the same orcas, but it was all very different. So, let me tell you guys a little bit about my first time seeing a live orca. It was back when I was 6 years old, and I actually forgot the year. Silly me. But then we met a young whale that was the same age as I was, surprisingly, and it was Quito. And as you know right now, Quito is an orca who lives in Luro Parque over in Spain, in Europe. But back then, he was a juvenile over at SeaWorld of San Antonio. He was really big, and I was just going eyeballing, trying to get close to him, but my mom and dad kept pulling me back behind the yellow line, saying, "Johnny, you can't cross the yellow line. You gotta stay where you are." But still, I was just, I just couldn't believe it. I was finally seeing a killer whale up close, and it was phenomenal. I even got the chance to feed Quito, and I even got to touch his dorsal fin, and my family and I did a group picture with him. And when my mom asked how old he was, the trainer, I believe her name was Bridget, she said, "Quito is 6 years old." And my mom was like, "Really?" And then I was like, "Just like me!" It turned out that Quito and I were born in the same year, only 3 months apart. I was born on March 2nd, and Quito was born somewhere in June or July, I think. I don't know. I'll have to do some more research on that. Maybe a little later on we'll do a information video about each orcas that we know are in captivity. Well, anyways, after that we saw the rest of the park. We saw the Dolphin Cove, we saw the seals and sea lions. Then we went back home to Louisiana. But the next year, we did a real SeaWorld trip. We went there when the park was open. We saw Fools with Tools with Clyde and Seymour. That was a very fun experience. And then we saw the Shamu show with all the killer whales, the trainers doing the waterworks. It was phenomenal. And I got to see the beluga whale show, and we even did a Dining with Shamu experience, and we got to see Quito and one of the other whales. I'm not exactly sure who it was. It could have been Kayla. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, she was born in San Antonio, so it's possible, before she moved to Orlando. Then the next day we did another shows. We saw Azul, which was the beluga and Pacific white-sided dolphin show, and that's why I found out we can do waterworks with the belugas and all that. And then the next year we went back again, and then I did a water interaction with the belugas, including Whisper, who was at SeaWorld San Antonio recently, SeaWorld of Orlando a few months ago, before being transferred to the Georgia Aquarium for breeding programs. But still, it was a fun experience. I got to do it with Whisper, Luna, and Olivia. I actually remember those 3 whales. And it turns out our coordinator, the guy who was guiding us, was the same guy who did the Seal and Sea Lion shows over at the theater with like Fools with Tools, and he even was behind the scenes when we first went there for the first time. So yeah, small little world that is. So yeah, after that, we didn't go back to SeaWorld. We just spent a lot of our time just camping or going to other places, and we of course went to Disney during my high school years, and of course I was balling over that. And around the time Blackfish came out, and yeah, that's probably going to be a topic we're going to talk about around here every once in a while, but don't worry, I am not a Blackfish supporter. I work in animal accredited facilities, so yeah, I am very supportive of all that. So yeah, me skipping ahead, because I know you guys are probably getting bored of me listening to my personal life. Around high school time, I got started working at our local zoo as a volunteer, because I'm still having my passion for animals, and I've always wanted to work around a zoo. And when it turned out that volunteering at a zoo could work with my service hours at high school, we decided, Johnny, you should give it a try. And then I got accepted into volunteering. I volunteered during my last semester of senior year in high school, and after I graduated, I decided to stay. Though my dad and mom were griping on about me getting a job and all that, since now I'm going to college, I need to find a way to support myself. Luckily, having a great mom and dad, they paid for my college throughout the entire time. And mom and dad, if you're watching this, thank you so much. I love you both so much, and I owe you guys big time. Just say it, and I'll try my best to make it up to you. So yeah, and then I started getting a paying job at the zoo I worked at, and volunteering. So I wasn't doing any education for a paying job, just, greeting people, checking their membership cards, and stamping their tickets and all that. But I still kept up with my volunteering work every Sunday or so. And then with that, I got more into how a zoo is, what we do for conservation, and what we do to protect animals and how we care for them, and really opened my eyes of how just important how zoos and aquariums are for protecting endangered species. Because I was just thinking that the animals were just there so we can see them and learn about them, but there's still so much behind it that I had no idea what was going on. Still, that was just amazing. It was an amazing experience to be a volunteer. And I've been volunteering at that zoo for up to 5 years. 5 straight years throughout my entire college career, I was a volunteer. I learned more and more about animals. I started shifting things around. I started doing educational chats in front of our elephants. I even created the Big Cat Bio Card where we learn about big cats, and some of the volunteers kind of fall in the same, suggesting ideas. And I even took part in helping out with the breeding program for the immortal leopards. Like one of my coordinators was like, "Hey Johnny, maybe you can help us out with the big cats. You can keep an eye on the immortal leopards, and if you see any breeding activity going on, like well, assuming there are kids watching, I won't go into any detail. So yeah, you know, if there's like flirting, all that, playing around, anything that might be potentially having cubs in the future, I would report to my coordinator, and then she would report to the big cat team." And then, yeah, everything went on very smoothly. So I was just having the time of my life as a volunteer at the zoo. Then during my time, within my final years before moving, I found out that one of my coordinators was a former attendant at Walt Disney World. She was an educator at Disney's Animal Kingdom. And I was like, you know, I've been wanting to go back to Disney ever since my vacation with my family and probably do some things I didn't do, like catch up with the animal programs and do some character meet and greets, watch the shows again. I really thought it would be pretty good. So yeah, I tried to apply for the first time, but didn't really get it. So my cousin, who was working at Disney at the time, she said, "Yeah, it might take several times for you to try it again, but just keep going for it, Johnny. If you keep persevering, you're going to get into it." And yep, I kept persevering. I eventually decided to wait till I graduated college, and then finally, for my second try, I got in. I was just going nuts. I was gonna go to Disney World and work at Disney's Animal Kingdom. I was just going nuts. I was flipping out, going crazy. So yeah, I was working really hard. I was crazy excited. When I got the interview, I was like, "You serious? I'm working at Disney? Could you excuse me for a moment?" Then I just walked away and I went, "Woo! Yeah, I'm working at Disney! Woo-hoo!" Yeah, I was going all Steve Irwin crazy, and when I told my mom and dad, they were like, "Johnny, that's incredible! You're working at Disney! My little boy's working at Disney! Oh my gosh, I can't believe it!" So yeah, and then I started looking around to see if there were any possible candidates who might have gotten the same position as I did. So I typed in reactions to getting accepted into an Animal Kingdom program, and then lo and behold, I actually came across a fellow vlogger who you might know as Erin Toomey. You will see her channel link down below in the description. I'll be placing it there for you. And it was actually Erin and another friend of mine and fellow co-worker of mine named Casey that they inspired me to make a little vlogging channel for this. So yeah, that's a little bit about my personal history and how I got into SeaWorld. So kind of blended that into two. So yeah, you know a little bit about me more often, but you might be wondering what might be coming up in the future for this channel. So yeah, just like how some people do it, I'll make vlogs about my daily visits to the park, maybe put in some full show videos, like I would just record the entire show, like maybe Sea Lion High, Dolphin Days, or One Ocean, just filming all that, and yeah, maybe just vlogs and SeaWorld shows that you could see at home so you don't have to worry about going to the park. Though I do recommend you do visit the park. They are incredible. I just love SeaWorld with a passion, and ever since coming to Florida, I've been visiting SeaWorld very recently, and I just got myself an annual pass. So yep, you can count on seeing me going every day for the rest of my time here in Florida. And other things we can do is maybe have Q&A videos, maybe some live discussions, and like I said, I won't be the only one operating this channel, so you'll be seeing some of my fellow colleagues, and I'm sure that a lot of our first videos will be just introductions of every team member, of every of what we do, what our passions are, and I was also thinking recently we could probably talk about maybe what we can do to help SeaWorld in the future, like what kind of ideas we can do for SeaWorld, or maybe for the fun of it, we can do educational videos like some zoos and aquariums do. We could talk about different types of orcas, the ecotypes, or maybe some of our team members, since they know a lot about the old orcas, like the orcas of then and now. We could probably do a little history biography about each orca. We could probably do one about Katina. We can do one about Trua. We can do one about keto, like I mentioned, or we can do it about Tillicum or Kayla, God rest her soul, and Tillicums as well. And we could also talk about maybe the rescue programs or just anything crazy and random, or maybe we can make some music videos. I mean, right now I'm currently working on an introduction, an official one for this very channel. So yeah, I think I should wrap it up around there and maybe leave you guys wanting to see more. So if you guys do have any questions about me or anything that's going on this channel, or whoever else is going to be on here, just leave a comment in the section below. Though I should warn you that if there's any anti-captivity or Blackfish supportive or any of that spam and scam stuff that's going to be going on down there, I will remove it. For a lot of you SeaWorld enthusiasts, welcome to our channel. Or for anybody new or just want to know what's going on, or any of those who like animals, I hope you guys enjoy the content what we have here, and I hope to see y'all soon. And this is Johnny, signing off. Bye guys!